Ooh, it's nice out. Let's do a video outside today. So we're starting to get into the spring season and out of the winter season in Ohio, and this is my favorite time of year because you're coming out of having a lot of snow on the ground. It's really cold here, not super sunny, but we are working our way into nicer days as the springtime rolls around and summer gets closer and closer. Now, it's no secret that if you've watched any of my other videos, I'm a huge fan of hiking in this area just because we've got a ton of different metro parks and the actual national park itself. So I figured today, why not show you a few of my favorite places that I like to go and hike and just spend my extra time. For as long as I can remember, I've spent a lot of time outdoors, whether it be just going down to my local park that was close to my house when I was little, going into the woods and just exploring, or if as I got older I started to spend a lot of time in the national park and just the different Cleveland metro parks that are around. And overall, it was just a great experience that I've never really ventured away from. Nowadays, I'm spending a lot of time traveling and going to different national parks. We don't really do potato vacations where you just sit on a beach and bake. We've actually got a map hanging on our wall with all of the national parks that we've been to. So we're trying to knock all of those out, and we've even been to some other countries and their national parks. So I think it's safe to say that I really enjoy the outdoors, and like I said, I've talked about it a lot in my other videos. So we're gonna be focusing on three main areas today, and those are going to be the west, south, and I would say southeast side. The west and the south are going to mainly be comprised of the metro parks, and then the southeast is where the national park is. So I took the liberty of printing out a map of the different areas that we're going to be checking out today, and let's go over them quickly. So we've got the Cleveland area here, and our first stop is going to be over in Rocky River Reservation. Now, this is not really ranked on any sort of like best to worst scale. This is just what I'm living closest to right now. So we're going to be over by the airport, and the first trail is going to be the Fort Hill Stairs that we're going to be checking out. Now, I've talked about this in my Rocky River video, and it's a really cool spot to go hang out. It's one of those that is not a super hard hike. However, there are a ton of stairs, and we'll probably count them out while we're there just to see how many there actually are, because honestly I can't recall. But it's got a little bit of a loop at the top of the stairs, and then there's a loop that you can go through down at the bottom, and there's some picnic areas as well. So let's head over that way and start to check out what they have to offer. Bye, Jeff. Might as well quickly address the elephant in the room too, and that's what happened to my face. I actually was working on one of my investment properties, and I was pulling a piece of wood down and it fell and actually smoked me. So I do have this pretty gnarly gash on my face, so bear with me. But as we're talking more about these metro parks and national parks, I just want to throw out there that I'm a realtor in the greater Cleveland area. So if you're thinking about moving over this way, feel free to reach out to me. All my contact information is down in the description. I help a lot of people move here every year, so if the thoughts ever crossed your mind, feel free to reach out to me. It's Future Sam editing this video that you are watching right now, and I just wanted to warn you that this kind of turns into a more realistic version of what it's like trying to hike during the springtime or even in the fall time in Ohio. It's not terribly uncommon for the Weather Channel to tell you that it is one type of weather and you show up to where you're going and you're outside and it is something totally different. But I just wanted to push this video out there just so you get an idea of what to expect if you're traveling here. A lot of the videos that come from this area are mainly focused on the good parts of Ohio, and I want to give you a more realistic expectation as to what to expect. Now let's really head to Fort Hill Stairs. I left my house and it was only a 6-minute drive, and there's already some clouds rolling in for a storm that we're supposed to have later. So the rest of this video might not be super aesthetic, but we're gonna roll with the punches because I want to get this all done while I'm out. So I might be hiking in the rain, so I guess we'll see that. But we're back at Fort Hill, and this is kind of a cool area because we have woods surrounding us for the most part, and it's just a really relaxing area to come and hang out. I am currently sitting on some benches in the middle of a path that they have here. There's a few different options to choose from, but the main attraction is going to be the Fort Hill Stairs. Those are over just past the nature preserve, and there's about 135 steps to go up. You ascend about 90 feet, and you got this really cool overlook of the whole area. Now, a lot of people come here to work out and actually run up and down the stairs as their workout, and that's a pretty cool setup. You almost get a Rocky theme going. It's something that might really pump you up. Now, I think it is actually raining, so I'm probably gonna have to start walking back to my car. But over here, there's a picnic area as well that you can go cook out and just hang out in the greenery and watch the cars go by and just all the different people that are walking. And it's kind of a bummer that it's raining because this might totally change the course of the video. So I guess we'll just, like I said, roll with the punches. So I just got back to my car and this is what it says, 72 and partly cloudy. So not so cool, but we got a 70% chance of rain here at 1 p.m. It's currently 12:40. So it should pass, and then we should be good until 6. So I think I'm just gonna chance it and drive over to the next stop and just call it good. If I have to walk in the rain and get the footage, I will. I might be doing most of this video from my car then. Whatever, that's just how it rolls sometimes. So I guess this is a good idea of, if you're traveling to Ohio, you're probably gonna have some unpredictable random weather if it's spring or fall. However, in the summertime, it's either gonna be sunny or cloudy. You're not really gonna have a whole lot of rain during that time. If it's winter, that's a whole different conversation. Last few winters we've had have been pretty mild, so there hasn't really been a whole lot of snow that actually stuck to the ground. We've had 2 or 3 pretty heavy snows that didn't stick around much longer than a week or so. But something to keep in mind is that if you come when it's cold outside and it starts to warm up and thaw, you're probably gonna have some really muddy hiking and just lots of puddles throughout, and it just makes some really horrible mess. So the next spot that we're going to be heading is going to be over in Strongsville, Ohio. I think it's important to mention that most of these hikes are not the best per se. They're actually just the ones that I find myself going back to, that I enjoyed spending the most amount of time on, and they're by no means the most popular ones in the area. As you drive through these metro parks, you're going to notice that there are a ton of different trailheads that you can go to that are just on the side of the road, but the ones that I chose I like for a reason. Fort Hill Stairs is a cool option because you don't really have that much elevation with that many stairs, and it's giving you a really scenic view. The one that we're going to be heading to next is a really long loop. I don't know exactly how long, so I'll look that up when I get to the next destination. But you have the opportunity to only walk a little bit of it and turn around if you want to, or if you want to complete the whole thing, you can do that as well. And there's a lot of scenic overlooks as it gains and loses elevation throughout the whole duration of the hike. So the next one that we're going to see, like I already mentioned, is going to be the Royalview Mountain. Now, it's not really a mountain, but there is a lot of elevation gain in it, so that's probably where the name came from. And it's also a bike trail, so if you're hiking on it, just be courteous of the bikers that are coming through. They'll give you a heads up if they're behind you, but that is just something to expect for that as well. It just finished raining, so I'm gonna put on my shoes really quick, and then hopefully I can actually get to it. We'll see what happens though. So we're here at the Sugar Brush Trail, and honestly the real reason I wanted to come do this one is mainly because we came here yesterday and it was like super muddy up ahead. Right now, like, the ground looks pretty muddy, but it's like still pretty stiff, so the water's just sitting on top. But we got to a point where it goes uphill and it was just super muddy, and we were both wearing tennis shoes, so it just wasn't a super fun time. Now, like I said, this area has a few different loops to choose from. It is a bike trail, so you got to share with the bikers. It's not really that big of a deal. Most of them are pretty courteous to people hiking. I walk my dog here all the time. It used to be like 2 minutes away from where I used to live. So overall, it's a really good trail to check out, just because it's got the ability to see some pretty cool stuff within a pretty short walk. You could also get your fix of walking a little bit further and seeing some really cool things, getting that nice long hike in. But the cool part is that you're only about 5 minutes away from all of the shopping and all of the restaurants and everything that Strongsville has to offer. So this is what we ran into yesterday. It was just a freaking mess of trying to walk through here. Luckily, I've got my hiking shoes on, and it shouldn't really cause any issues this route. Might get a little bit of a wet foot, but we should be good. So the water kind of like flows through here because we're walking uphill right now, and it just, I don't know, not something that you want to do in tennis shoes. But on any other regular day, it's totally fine to walk through here. You don't need any crazy hiking shoes. You're not going to twist your ankle. And it's actually starting to thunder pretty badly in the background, so I wonder if this rain's actually going to stop or if it's going to keep going until 6 o'clock, but find out. All right, so I am walking up right now to the spot that I was trying to get to, and you might be able to hear it, but we are currently on top of this hill, and I'd say maybe 100 feet down. You've got, I don't want to call it a waterfall, but there's a pretty cool rock formation where the water that is the river that you're hiking next to is flowing down, and it actually makes for a pretty quiet area. You're so far off of the different roads that you can't hear anything that's going on back over in that, I guess, civilization area, even though you're dang near dead center to it. But this is just one of those spots that I kind of found that I really like the feeling that I have when I'm out here. And you just get an overwhelming sense of just peace, maybe? I don't know. But I like it, that's all I know. I'm gonna keep coming back here. I'll show you where it's at. So realistically, it's not super hard to hike during the winter time here, but when it gets dark at 4 p.m. and you have to go out during that time, it's just one of those things that you kind of don't want to do to end your day. Hiking in the dark, it's just not so fun. So you're kind of stuck to your days off or just doing it on the weekend. But where there's a will, there's a way, in all honesty. So I mentioned that we are going to start heading into the national park now. So we're gonna head a little bit further southeast. And the first trail that we're gonna stop at is probably gonna be Brandywine Falls. I'm gonna make the biggest scenic overlook, save it for last, and just give my final thoughts there. Hopefully we can find a cool spot to have a nice backdrop. But Brandywine Falls is one of those places that I used to go check out a lot when I was younger. You could actually like hop over the fence and hike down the river. Now looking back on it, after seeing all the different signs and stuff in different national parks, probably not a smart idea to do. It's basically leave no trace on your hikes, but hey, we used to do it. There were no signs before saying you couldn't, so we made our own path and just hiked down the trail. All right, so I've got a question. Has anyone else ever broken their ankle and then had issues with their ankle high hiking shoes just rubbing on their foot? Well, the spot that they had the surgery and had the stitches put in, because I broke my ankle last summer and I have not hiked a whole lot, so I don't know if I'm just being a pansy and need to just, I guess, build up the skin and turn it into almost callus in that area, or if you've got some sort of extra padding that you put in there. I don't know. Let me know what your experience is if you've ever had anything similar to that. All right, so we are back at Brandywine Falls now, and this one's a super easy one. I'm probably gonna talk as I walk up to the falls themselves, but it's raining, it's thundering in the background. I'm sure you can hear it. Slight drizzle, so hopefully I can get through these last two spots pretty easily. So Brandywine Falls, you could go that way and walk down a trail, or you could walk down this wooden board that I am going down currently, and that'll actually lead you to the falls themselves. So it's a pretty cool setup overall. So this is the wood path that leads you up to Brandywine Falls itself. I'm not really seeing any stairs off to my left. There are some to go down, or you could go up. I think there's actually two. Sorry, it's been a while since I've been here. So off to the right, you can go see the view from above, but we're gonna go down these stairs to my left and check out the falls from a lower vantage point. So walking around the corner, it's a really sweet entry point to the falls themselves. You're walking along this massive overlook. Down low is the river, and then off to your right you got a lot of ledges. Now those stairs weren't super hard to do. It's a super easy walk up, and then you've got a loop that you can walk through the woods as well. Now, like I said, we used to walk to the falls bottom area when we were younger and then work our way down. It doesn't look like there's any signs, but they might have updated that since then. And honestly, I probably wouldn't recommend it, just with what I've learned in the last 10 years or whatever since I was a kid. But these falls are absolutely massive. It's just not something you would expect to find in Ohio, honestly. It's just a super crazy overlook. Now we've got a lot of background noise, so hopefully you can hear me talking, but it's just a really cool setup that if you live over this way, it's only 35 minutes or so from the west side of Cleveland. It's just super easy to get to. But yeah, this is one of my favorite spots to hang out. It's really a loud spot to be, so it's not something that you'd probably want to come and hang out and read a book. Just catch the sight, do the hike maybe, and then go find some different areas to do some picnics or whatever, just because it's a massive amount of water that's moving there. So jumping back to future Sam, I didn't really end up finishing this video on the day that I was hiking. That was yesterday, and it's still pretty crappy weather outside. So I wanted to just kind of give you an idea of what the last two spots that we were supposed to check out are like. And in a future video, I'm gonna go over them in depth and give you a pretty cool idea. So for now, I'm just going to overlay what I'm talking about with pictures and video of really nice days, and then I'll go back there and get some real footage of it as well. So our next stop was supposed to be Blue Hen Falls. Blue Hen Falls is super easy to hike just due to the fact that it's not a super long hike to get to the falls themselves. It's a pretty cool spot because what you're walking on is a trail to get to it. It's not like Brandywine Falls where you have the boardway that was built by man to get to it. As you're approaching it from above, and then it's this giant bowl that you can walk down and into and actually get up close to the fall. But something to keep in mind about this waterfall is that if it is summertime and it's dry outside and it hasn't rained, there's a chance that it's not going to have a lot of flow to it. But this is one of those where you can show up, have lunch by, and just enjoy the sound of the rushing water. It's not a big rush that's coming through like Brandywine, so you have the ability to sit next to it and still be able to have a conversation with whoever you're with, or just listen to the sounds of nature that are surrounding it. Now, much like the other attractions in the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, this one's got a lot of hiking trails that are surrounding it. So if you want to, you can work your way further down the path and just do a complete loop. Or if you want to just hang out by it, you have the opportunity to just take the short walk to the falls and then go back to the car and move on to the next. The other attraction that we were supposed to go run and check out was going to be Ledges Trail, and that one is one of my personal favorites. And I found that one because I was on my way home from that southeastern area and I wanted to do a hike before I got home, and it ended up being one of my favorite hikes. So this one is neat because you have the ability to walk out to the overlook. You get this crazy view of the sky and the tops of all the trees and seeing how far they actually go. And if you work your way down and further into the park, you actually have some more ledges that are similar to what you'll find at Hinckley and at Whipp's Ledges. And Whipp's Ledges is an honorable mention as well. That's a part of the Metroparks. But you're able to walk between these massive rock walls, and all of this was underwater at one point, so you can kind of see where the fish used to live, and it's a really neat experience to walk through. So like I mentioned earlier, some of these attractions are the top ones that you'll find if you look on all trails, but some of these other ones you're not going to find super easily just because they're my personal favorites. But if you find yourself checking out this area, I definitely think all of them are worth seeing. And if you need even more options, All Trails is a good app to just get suggestions for what you'll do next. And one of the better parts of our national parks and our metro parks is that they're really close to the city life. So you have the ability to drive 10-15 minutes and get to a restaurant or a bar or something, and it's not going to be overcrowded or overpriced. Whereas if you're hiking in some of these other national parks in the United States, they're very secluded, so you're pretty much forced to go to those restaurants, and a lot of them are going to be pretty expensive, or there's going to be a ton of people there and you have to wait a long time to get seated. So I hope this video gave you a realistic idea as far as what to expect during that springtime or fall time if you're trying to hike. It may have been kind of a fail as far as the video producing aspect goes, but it is a win in getting that sense of realism for hiking in this area, or if you want to do any sort of outdoor activity. Now, like I said, if you are trying to move to this area, feel free to reach out to me. All of my contact information is down in the description. And if you find yourself down there trying to reach out to me or checking out my social media, before you go, click that like button and subscribe because it's going to help me out a ton. But I'm going to leave the video there. I'll catch you in the next one.